Children, the President is indirectly elected by the people of India. The common people do not vote in the election of the President. He is elected by directly elected representatives of the central and state legislature. The group of these parliamentarians and members of the state legislature is known as Electoral College. The tenure of the President is 5 years. The person contesting the presidential elections should be an Indian citizen whose age should be at least 35 years. The person elected to the position of the President has to take an oath while accepting the past. According to the oath, the President bears the responsibility of protecting the Constitution and ensuring that the government runs as per the Constitution. The President governs in accordance with the advice given by Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. The responsibility of protecting the Constitution is shouldered by the President, but in any act of President violates the Constitution, then the President has the authority to remove the President. The Parliament has the authority to remove the President. This process is known as process of impeachment. Any one house can lay the charge of violation of the Constitution, and the investigation of the charge is carried out by the other house. The resolution has to be passed by special majority of both the houses of Parliament. So, children, the common people do not directly vote in the election of the President. He is elected by directly elected representatives of the central and state legislatures. The group of these parliamentarians and members of the state legislature is known as the Electoral College. The person contesting the presidential election should be a citizen of India, and he should be the 35 years of age. It is the eligibility to be a person who can contesting the presidential election. Then what is the process of impeachment? The tenure of the President is 5 years. He governs on the advice of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. But if any act of the President violates the Constitution, then the Parliament has the authority to remove the President, and the process of removal of the President is known as the impeachment. Any one house can lay the charge of violation of the Constitution, and the investigation of the charge is carried out by the other house. The resolution for impeachment of the President has to be passed by special majority of both the houses of Parliament. So, children, here you have come to know how does the parliament, sorry, you have come to know the election of the president, and also you have come to know that the group of the parliamentarians and the member of the state legislature is known as the Electoral College. Then the powers and functions of the president. The Constitution has entrusted several powers and functions to the President. A few functions are enumerated as follows. The President summons the meeting of Parliament, pro- sorry, prorogue the session of Parliament, sends messages to both houses, dissolves the parliament after the tenure is over or even before the tenure gets over. Bill passed by the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha must be signed by the President. Without his signature, the bill cannot become a law. President appoints the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers on the recommendation of Prime Minister. The President appoints the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts. The President also appoints the governors of states, Chief Election Commissioner, and other important officers. The President is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Decisions regarding war and peace are made by the President. The President has some judicial powers too. For instance, the President has the power to reduce the punishment, grant a respite, or commute a sentence of a person, or in special circumstance grant pardons or reprieves on humanitarian grounds. President has the power to declare emergency in case of a crisis situation arising in the country. There are three kinds of emergencies mentioned in the Constitution: national emergency, state emergency, and financial emergency. In the absence of the President, and his functions are carried out by the Vice President. The Vice President is elected by members of both the houses. So, children, here you have come to know about the powers and functions of the President. About the powers, the first one is legislative powers, to summons the session of the Parliament, to prorogue the session of the Parliament, to send the messages to both houses, to dissolve the Parliament after or before the tenure is over, to sign the bills passed by Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha which becomes the law, and to protect Constitution. All these are the legislative powers of the President. Then the executive powers, to appoint the Prime Minister and other ministers, to appoint the governors of state, Chief Election Commissioner, and other important officers. Then the judicial powers, to appoint the judges of Supreme and High Court, to reduce and commute pardon or reprieve the punishment of a person given by Supreme Court. Then the defense power to appoint the chiefs of three defense forces and to take decisions regarding war and peace. And then the emergency power, that is to declare emergency in case of crisis of the country, like national emergency, state emergency, and financial emergency. And children, in the absence of the president, his functions are carried out by the vice president. The vice president is elected by both the houses of parliament. For contesting the post of vice president, a person should be 35 years of age. So, children, today you have come to know about the Union Executive. Executive means who are responsible to implement laws. You have come to know about Union Executive, which comprises President, Prime Minister, and the Council of Ministers. At first, I have discussed about the structure of Union government. Then, you have come to know about the Executive comprises of the President, Prime Minister, and the Council of Ministers. Then I have given you some idea about the President, about the election of the President, and also you have come to know the powers and functions of the President. So, children, the next part of the topic I will cover in my next video. Now, it is your duty to read the topic from your textbook. You should go through the topic, and whatever I have discussed in the video, you should listen to these videos carefully. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Stay healthy.